Dash, where are you originally from? Tell us a bit about your background.
Yeah, originally I'm from Sri Lanka. I was born there, I grew up there, I migrated to Australia about 17 years ago.
And what religion was brought up in your household?
Towards the teenage years of my life back in Sri Lanka, we grew up, or rather we were brought up on Hinduism and Buddhism. So we had both religions in my family because my dad's Hindu and my mom's Buddhist.
And would you have classified yourself as being a religious person?
No, not growing up, no. Even though we had the religions by birth, so to speak, our family wasn't very focused on religion or really anything religious, or for that matter, God. We were not God conscious. Coming from Sri Lanka, so we had, of course, the conflicts there and the problems there. So a lot of that was just based on us getting good grades, and our parents just, you know, worked very hard to put us through good education just so that we could come to a country like this.
So the 18-year-old Dash, would she have ever thought that she would become a Muslim one day?
No.
Why is that?
At that time also, growing up in a country like Sri Lanka, the negative perception of Islam was very prevalent, because what we knew about Islam was what we saw on the news, right? And what we heard around the world. So, and I didn't grow up around a lot of practicing Muslims, so to speak. So I didn't see the religion in action either. So it wasn't even a thought that would have occurred to me now.
So let's fast forward a bit. You came to Australia. Tell us about when you first encountered Islam.
It was about a couple of years ago. I actually read a pamphlet, leaflet, and it piqued my curiosity. It had just no more about Islam on that pamphlet, and on the back of the pamphlet was a school, Sydney Islamic College. And I just thought, okay, you know, I'm going to go for these classes. And at that time, something pulled me to go and attend those classes. Let's see what this religion is about, right? I liked some of the bullet points those pamphlets had, like the concept of God, the oneness of God, the prophets. Those were very, very new to me. I didn't, you know, who the creator, and what's your purpose in life? That was one sentence that caught me. And I started attending the classes. I was just in the back row. I didn't know anything about Islam, just walking in there. And then every Monday I found myself going there and found myself, you know, getting my interest up in Islam and understanding more about this religion. And all I could think was how different it was to everything I've heard on news or wherever it is, right?
Yep.
And the great thing about that course was it started from the very beginning, very, very beginning of this God. And for the first time in my life, I've actually having a conversation about God.
So what was different in Islam compared to Hinduism?
So Hinduism fundamentally has the concept of associating partners with God. So there are a number of different gods, statues, a lot of very much focused on idol worshipping, in a nutshell. Yeah. So obviously, fundamental difference with Islam, right? You have one creator, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, our one creator, our one God, and we associate no partners with our creator, our maker. And there was no concept of this creation. You just worshipped idols, and every idol represented something, and you wanted something, you went to that particular idol and you worshipped it for that thing you wanted, whether it was money, life, health, whatever it was. And a lot of rituals around idol worshipping. So I would say that was the main difference. And that was what also attracted me to Islam initially. It was that purity of that one connection. And also with Hinduism, you go through a third party. You can have your own, whatever, they have their own idols, but often you go through this third party, right? But Islam, your connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is yours. And that was something that's very different, Islam.
Speaking about your connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what would be your favorite verse in the Quran?
Many, but my favorite would be the verse where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says He would not burden any soul with more than what He can take. So that every day is like something that gets me through the day, because no matter what the trials and tribulations are, you know you can handle it, because Allah says, we're not going to give you anything more than that. So I would say that's my favorite.
Let's talk about the day that you accepted Islam. Run us through that day.
It was after I had done maybe 3 months of the course at UMA, and I think the next day, on a Tuesday, I said, you know what, I'm ready, because now I'm hearing all the, getting into the salat, how you can experience, now you've got to experience Islam, right? It's one thing studying it. So next day we went to the sheikh at UMA, and I did my shahada.
What was your feeling straight after that?
Quite overwhelmed, actually. Many emotions all at once, because it also just hit me, now I am Muslim. I'm going to have to say I am Muslim. So obviously having non-Muslim family, all that also came. But at the same time, I have this really overwhelming sense of completion. Like, okay, finally, there's this thing in my life that's going to give me, that's something very positive. Yeah, so it was a combination.
Has Islam changed you as a person?
Yes, definitely it has. It's given me more purpose in life, to wake up in the morning and to know there is a definite purpose. And also it's helped me manage trials, tribulations, difficult times better. Coming back to the original point about the Quranic verse, right? And as I'm studying more, and this whole idea of implementing the Quran, it's not about just studying it, hearing it, but that itself is training me, like in terms of just your 5 salah, it's disciplining me in very, very small ways. But I can certainly see the change in terms of more discipline, more in terms of more being able to handle problems better on a daily basis.
So let's talk about challenges of being a Muslim woman in Australia. What's the most challenging part about it?
I think for me it was putting on the headscarf, definitely, because I think that's the most obvious part as a woman of being a Muslim woman in Australia. Challenges where I have a family, non-Muslim family, and who have really, how I was, had no idea about Islam, and still has that connection of what they grew up with, what Islam is about. So look, I mean, certain family situations are challenging, work, friends, my life, the way it was before, and my life now, taking other people through the journey, let alone my own journey, has been a challenge. But they've been very supportive, to the best of their ability. I must say I probably, thought it would be worse, but they've been supportive. Certain things they can't accept, but that's okay. And for me, my main thing is just by being a good Muslim means being a better person, hopefully change their perception of Islam.
What do you say to someone who says that a Muslim woman is oppressed?
Now, I would say, this is where the education of Islam comes in. First thing I learned, and I have to be honest, that was one of my perceptions before I started knowing what Islam's really like. But when I would say, the advent of Islam actually took women out of, raised the status of women. It went from a tribe that was killing their girls to, to the Sahaba studying at the feet of the wives of the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So, look, I would give them the history of Islam. That's where I would start, and let them make up their mind.
Let's go back to your parents. How did they take it?
Very hard. Well, both took it slightly differently. Mum was a lot harder because she's more embedded in her religion. Dad was a lot easier. My dad actually worked in Middle Eastern countries for a long time. He's a doctor. He worked at the WHO over there. He knew Islam in a different way. He was actually very supportive. Look, it was difficult for them. It was difficult. It's very different to what they practice, and Islam is very visible, right, in terms of our prayers, the way we dress, our whole life is around. So they had to adjust to that as well. So if I say I have my prayers, I've got to head off, I'll come back. So, the whole schedule, everything. But subhanAllah, over a year and a half, they're really, coming around, and inshallah, the more they see, the more they'll come to understand what this religion is about, and it's not what we thought it was.
Do you still have your same friends from before Islam?
I do. Yeah, subhanAllah, I do so far, yes. But the same friends are there, but I would say the friendship level has changed.
Have you ever regretted becoming a Muslim?
Becoming Muslim? No. No, not at all.
Never crossed your mind?
No. Hardships, yes, but again, a lot of the Quranic verses helps me get through them. Regretted? No. Certainly did not come with a lot of ease.
So we noticed your husband was in the studio and we thought that you've spoken a lot about yourself. Let's bring in a witness.
Yeah.
Tell us about her transition through Islam over the past 1.5 years.
Yeah. Alhamdulillah, brother. I mean, I can only just speak praise and great words about her transition. It's just been amazing. She's a great person, and subhanAllah has really taken to Islam and applies herself quite well. And subhanAllah, it's just amazing to see.
If you had one dua, one request from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what would it be?
To keep me and the rest of the Muslim Ummah strong in our deen, elevate us in our iman, and bring us all, unite us all onto the Sirat al-Mustaqim. I mean, I'm a new Muslim, but it's a big religion. It's a way of life. So, we need all the help, and we are doing it all for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So keep us all steadfast, because everything else will come after that.